black woman is God, plain and simple. She's the mother of all Africanities, and I'm her companion, her complement, her confidant. Since the beginning, so it will be in eternity. Our ancestors shine through us. Our offspring validate our existence.
No survival without resistance. Akibalon, stand up. Black love, stand up. Every God, every goddess, forever united and unstoppable.
Giving honor to the ancestors, those who came before us. All the wisdom that they show us. They patient cause they know us. When we fussing and we fighting, they manage to enlighten, enhance our insight. So I add a like and writing. Our connection is a titan. Our love is a colossal. Disagreement is a fossil. I am your apostle. Our love is like a journal. Turn the page eternal. Our souls intertwine. The theology of time dictates that we rewind and go back to the beginning when the deities were women. Time to stop pretending that I hate you when I love you, putting other things above you. Don't like that others drug you. Not me, I always dug you. I believe we've been together since the birthing of forever. You work the stormy weather. I'll never do it better than I do it in your presence. You validate my lessons. My God begets blessings. That's why I call her essence.
The black man is God, plain and simple. The world sees your greatness, why can't you? Y'all wanna see the sisters step up and lead this fight? Cause we will. But not without you. You're a warrior, a scientist. I'm your complement, your companion. I only wanna see you on the throne.
So black man, step up. King, step up. Ain't no way we don't rise when we got a black woman that knows she's God. Ebony essence.
You my dove, I'm your nuke, you the truth, I'm the proof, no abuse. My masseuse, tie me up and turn me loose. Sebek and Heteru, giving thanks in Neteru. For the king I get in you, no regrets in picking you. Like I said it to us all, I remembered who you are. I'm your moon, you're my star, your performance over par. Through the pain and the scars, the shackles and the bars, I fly from here to Mars with my feelings in the jar. If I thought it set you free, I gotta have you next to me. Your intellect vexes me, your conversation's ecstasy. You and me is heavenly, freedom is our legacy. I've yet to see another brother that can touch the best in me. DOK and Ebony, together for eternity. Even when you hurting me, I'm by your side, certainly. Written in the sacred text, from this cycle to the next. I'm the most and you the best. Face to face, we ace the test, huh?
See,
what y'all don't understand is we were meant to move in harmony. Two minds, one soul. It was written in the ancient scrolls. With the black man as your backbone, how could you fold? Take back what they stole. They broke the mold, but these arms were made to hold. And hold on, be real. Nigga, be still. Bitches, be real. The deal has been sealed, and all who come against gets killed.
Alright, peace of Black Power Funding. Welcome to another episode of Do Knowledge Radio. Place where knowledge is born. This is your host, Knowledge Bonavide. And let me tell you how good God is. She said, son, I said, yes, ma'am. She said, I don't appreciate what you're doing. I was like, how can I fix it? Well, you need to be on here advocating and celebrating Black love. I was like, yes, ma'am, I'm going to fix it right now. I said, but can I ask you something? She was like, what, boy? I was like, can you send me somebody that embodies and advocates for Black love? She said, no problem. So I got just the God to send you. Okay. So it ain't gonna be easy though, because she don't talk to everybody. I was like, but Lord, how can I convince her to speak unto me? Okay. She was like, just be yourself and ask her nicely and be patient and kind. I said, yes, ma'am. She was like, don't make me smack you. I was like, all right, I got it together. So it becomes my honor and privilege at this time to introduce some present to others. A true advocate, one who embodies and advocates for Black love and is putting together. She is conspiring on behalf of the universal God force For this thing that is deemed a misnomer, for this thing that is deemed impossible nowadays in the space of agenda and gender wars happening. She said, forget all of that mess. Black love still exists. And not only does it exist, it's going to be advocated, protected, and promoted. So I said, man, I said, look at God. I said, won't she do it? Okay. So it becomes my honor and privilege at this time to introduce some of others, this coach, this mentor, this guide, this God maker. Okay. She bring the gods together and make sure that they make what they're supposed to make. Okay. So one who stands in truth and one who is a testament to Black love in all of its forms. The wonderful, the multi-talented, the coach, the advocate, the love whisperer. The Black love whisperer is here with us today. Let's give it up for the God love. Love, thank you. Welcome to your home, okay? Because we advocate for Black love here against all odds. How you feeling?
What a welcome. Thank you so much for your kind words. Thank you for having me on your platform. And yes, I am an advocate for love. That's hence why the name Love. It shall
That's
not
right.
die.
Yes, yes, yes. So, of all the things that you could be doing in the universe, what is it? What was it? What was the catalyst and the push for you to get started on this path of coaching Black folks back to themselves?
Well, my spiritual journey started a few years ago, 3 years ago to be exact. And so, fast forward 3 years later, my pastor, who I met on Clubhouse, wonderful platform, have met so many wonderful people like yourself there. And it was back in July, he prophesied over me basically. And, he says, Love, the Holy Spirit told me to tell you that you're living beneath your potential. And if you continue to do that, then you're going to continue to struggle financially and or whatever other way that. And when he gave me that prophecy, he made it. He said it as though there was another field of work that I needed to go into. And I'm like, okay, Holy Spirit, now I don't want to get a second job. I don't want to continue to work for the man. So what in the world could he be talking about? And then 3 days later, at 3 o'clock in the morning, the vision came to me, the dating game, and I ran with it. And within 3 weeks, in a rushed manner, through that first game together. It was August the 12th, and it worked. It was a success. And I had so many people telling me, man, thank you for this. We need this in our community. So I got the call of the vision and I accepted.
So you put it together, bam. What what did that take? What was some of the details? Because you said it, and then oftentimes we hear stuff, but we don't know what goes into it. You had a short amount of time, but you had a vision and an abiding faith. So what was kind of like some of the physical steps to put into?
Well, let me say that before this, I had no entrepreneurial skills. I've been in the corporate world my whole life. I was taught, go to work, get a job, and let somebody cut me a check. So to make this transition from working corporate America, which I'm slowly making my way out of that, to becoming an entrepreneur has been one of the most liberating yet scariest journeys that I've been on so far. And so I really just took the leap and trusted that God, source, universe would provide for me the right people, because I honestly I don't know completely all the time what I'm doing here. And so the main catalyst to get me started was having that friend, that positive, influential friend that said, you know what, I believe in you. You're going to do this. And she had so much convicted behind her faith in me getting it done to I couldn't doubt myself. She left no room for me to doubt myself. And so at that point, I just put in the work and I began to reach out to people and said, hey, this is, what I'm doing. This is what I got going on. Are you interested? And regardless of what people are saying on the internet, people are really still looking for love. They really are. And so people were open to it. And really, that's all it takes is the people and a location. The rest will come together.
Mm, that's what I'm talking about. Oftentimes we miss the things that we have within ourselves. So it does take sometimes an example of that kind of faith that you have outside of yourself to be reminded of what's inside of you. So that unwavering faith that you have, in the Most High and source in our Creator. You see what I'm saying? That space had to be personified outwardly. You like, wait a minute, Lord, like you want me to do this now? Like what? How is the what of the how of the what? And we get caught up in the how of the what instead of moving in obedience. So I think you personified that, and then you got another, you know, confirmation that this was the right place to be in. So this first event, what's the sights and the sounds, and what was some of the feedback and some of the memorable moments that you can share about it?
I could say that I do believe in the power of manifestation. So I visualized that day, August the 12th, before it even got there. I felt the I felt the feeling of joy and fullness before the day even came. So it was already done in my mind. And it was just that. It was the perfect. I had never felt such fullness in my life. I had really just given birth, to this idea. So it wasn't perfect. The audio was horrible. I recorded it, I put it on my YouTube page, Journey with Love. The audio was horrible. We only had one microphone that we were working with, and we made that thing work. Like, I literally just took the vision and I said, y'all, whoever got my back, let's roll. Let's do this. So it really wasn't much to it, just really just walking out on faith. I do want to say, though, that over these last couple of years that I've been on this spiritual journey, I've things have been happening that kind of prepared me for this moment. And for example, I had traveled to Cancun, Mexico in 2021, May, and my family and we had went to this underground water hole, and my family, they were jumping off of this bridge into the water, and myself, I'm like, that looks like fun, I want to give that a try. And I can't really swim like that, but they're doing it, they're making it look so easy. I think I'm gonna give that a try. And so I climb up there and I chicken out. I get scared. But you have so many people down in the water and up on top of the bridge too saying, come on, you can do this, you can do this, just cheering me on. And I'm like, no, but they wouldn't let me back down. And so give it about 10, 15 minutes or however long it took. I finally worked up the courage and I jumped. And honestly, on the way down, I was thinking, oh shit, why did I do this? Excuse my French. I don't know if I'm able to curse on here, but I was like, oh
Yep.
shoot, why did I do this? And when I hit the water, it was one of the most empowering and freeing moments, that I ever had. And that's exactly what it was like when I jumped off of the bridge with this vision that was given to me. I took the leap, and on the way down, I'm like, oh my God, why did I do this? This is going to work. And when I hit that water, it was the most satisfying thing that I have ever experienced. So all these little things have been happening to just prepare me for this moment.
That's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about. So your journey, your personal journey with love, you know, there's some things that you can share and some of your takeaways in regards to it. What does that word love that you embody mean to you?
Absolutely. So I was in a relationship for 25 years with my ex-husband. We were married for 15 years. So we were high school sweethearts and all of that. And I had, most of us come from some sort of trauma. We experience some sort of trauma on some level. I actually, when I'm teaching on the topic of healing, I say that we each are assigned a trauma when we come into this world. And if you know even just a little bit about astrology, there's a sign called Chiron, whatever it's called. And each of us have it on the chart, which is proof that we are each given some sort of trauma when we come into this earth. So some may be assigned a level 6, maybe you got a level 3 trauma, maybe you got a level 10 trauma. I don't know. I have never graded my trauma because, you know, I know it wasn't the worst, but it also wasn't the best. But it was still the fact that I experienced trauma that made me a very angry person. I was such an angry, bitter woman for a long time. And my ex-husband and I, we got together, trauma bond, essentially, and had 3 kids out of that bond. And so when we got near the end of this road of this relationship, I can remember I was such a I was awful. I was always cursing, belittling him, you know, all of that stuff because I was so angry. And one day I'm yelling and screaming at him, and like I had always done so often before. And I could feel out of nowhere this pain hit me in the center of my head, and I thought I was about to have an aneurysm and just drop dead right there in his feet. And so I paused for a moment, I grabbed my head, and when I realized, okay, I'm still alive, it was in that moment that I said, okay, I got to change my life because I can't allow sources outside of me to lead me to the grave. You know, if I'm going to die, it's going to be by my own hands, right? And so it was in that moment that I decided, okay, I have to change my life. And so from there, someone had given me the advice to reread the story of my life, basically. I was sitting around the table during Christmas, and we were discussing New Year's resolutions. And one of my resolutions was that I wanted to be more consistent. And she says, okay, well, you have to reread the story of your life then to figure out why it is that you think it's okay to not finish things. And so that was yet another moment that set me on this path. I say, okay, but before I could do that, reread the story of my life, I had to get rid of the anger. I never saw anything but red. I was so angry. All I ever saw was red. And so for me to start this journey of rereading over my story, I need to first get rid of this anger. And so I did what I knew to do, which was go back to the word. You know, I was raised up in the church. We were there 7, 8 days a week in the Christian church, you know, 8 hours on Sundays. And so that was, you know, I went back to what I knew. I started to read through the Bible. I said, let me see, who does God say that I am? And as I got to Ephesians 4:31 and 32, where it says, to remove all bitterness, anger, rage, harsh words, as well as any other type of evil behavior. Instead, be kind, tenderhearted, and forgiving as God through Christ has forgiven you, something in that manner. So when I came across that scripture, I began to memorize that. I began to affirm that over my life, began to denounce fear and anger and rage, you know. So I studied that scripture. I chewed on that scripture. I said it out loud every day. So for 3 weeks, every single day, if my ex-husband would come into my path, maybe he was intoxicated, I'd say, nope, I remove all bitterness. So I had gotten to that point. That scripture helped me to not react the way that I had used to anymore. Now I can respond. I remove all bitterness. I remove all rage and anger, etc. And so after 3 weeks, I could begin to feel my heart begin to soften up. Things weren't bothering me on the same level that they used to anymore. And so now I can begin to reread the story of my life because this anger has started to dissipate and it got rid of some of this rage. So now I can see that, oh, God says that I'm this, and oh, God says that I'm that. Oh, God is in me. Who knew? You know? And so during this transition, I just began to feel, because I was such a callous person, lacked empathy, no compassion. And I really just began to transform through the power of the word, if I got to be honest with you. And I had my Jacob to Israel moment, if we can say, just last year, May 14th was my rebirth date. And that's when love was officially born.
So you mentioned healing, and what was that healing process? What did it look like for you?
It looked like, again, just trying to find my identity, because I only knew who the world said that I was. You know, the world told me that I was angry Black woman. That's a common one that we hear. The world told me that, you know, there's lack and scarcity, and I'm supposed to live in fear, and, you know, I'm supposed to hang on to my shame. And so, yeah, I had to go and really dig into this Bible. Let me figure out, who does God say that I am? And that's really where I got my healing, was through that word. So that's what that was for me.
Now, what was the call to begin to speak to other people, and help other people find this redefinition and redefining and healing, for that journey as well?
When I experienced my rebirthing last year, May 14th, that set my soul on fire, if I can say. So because I took the year 2021, the whole year, and I read through the Bible, chronological order. And, that was around COVID time. So there wasn't a lot of going. And, I wasn't going to church or anything like that. I took the effort and I studied this word for myself. And as I began to read, I started asking questions. And I don't know if you know anything about the church background, but you're not supposed to ask questions. You're supposed to have faith and belief type of thing, right? But I immediately go in and start asking questions. And one of the first questions that I can remember asking myself, or that came to my mind within the first 5 books, I'm like, it resonated with me that these are melanated people in this Bible. And I'm like, okay, so why are Europeans and colonizers then pushing the narrative, right? Or questions like, if God is omnipotent, why is He asking Adam and Eve where they are? Like, I was just asking questions, and I would go. We're in the internet day and age. I would go and seek out my own answers. I'm breaking down the etymology of words. I'm looking up the definition of different words and things like that. And so, as I'm going through this journey, almost 98% of the time, as I'm asking these questions, the answers are always pointing back to me. And so this book is evolving me in consciousness, is what I realized after I had my awakening. That's the whole purpose of the Bible. It's completely separate from religion. The Bible is meant to elevate you spiritually and mentally. And so as I was evolving in consciousness, and again, dressing myself up to look Christ-like, essentially. And God is love, right? And so I'm doing the work. I'm putting on the different clothes. And a matter of fact, it's like that Bible's like having a manual. And if you were a car, you get to look inside of you and soup your car up however you want to. Like, it's just a manual for who you are. So um I won't even touch on the whole Jesus part, because that too, I got to a part where I'm like, okay, wait a minute now, pump the brakes. I feel like I've been bamboozled my whole life, just so much began to be revealed to me. And again, and my pastor speaks about this all the time too. We are moving from an age of believing Jesus on the outside of us to knowing that Christ, God, is on the inside of us. So I lost track of the question. Forgive me. I get to rant.
You good? You was flowing. I don't know why you even stopped. Look, go where you need to go. Say what you need to say. This is about you. We're celebrating you and your journey. So every part of your story is essential. So uh, I'm not even going to forgive you because you ain't did nothing wrong. You understand what I'm saying? So just flow, because healing is important. A healing journey is important. Like your journey to love, your journey and transformation to how you got to this point is very, very critical. Somebody might be where you were, and you're the only person that could give them that insight. So, you know, that message is eternal. There are generations that you descend from that didn't have an opportunity to even voice their frustrations and pain. Think about how many Black women you come from in that great line who was silent. Not silent because they was afraid, silent because we had to live. What are the things that they had to experience and go through? What were the things that they were subjected to in silence? Because life, the sanctity of life, the children that came from them had to live. They still had to live. You see what I'm saying? So, yeah, no, you don't have to worry about it sounding a certain kind of way. This is your story. You're curating your own narrative. You see what I'm saying? So, however you see fit to tell it, this is how it needs to be told. So, yeah.
Understood. Thank you. So yeah, in regards to my journey on my road to love, so during that journey of reading through the Bible though in 2021, and I'm asking the questions and the answers are pointing back to me, and it's evolving me in consciousness, and I just keep asking the questions. And at the end of let me tell you, there became a point where I'm like maybe a third of the way through the Bible, And I'm like, okay, I'm feeling uncomfortable with this whole in Jesus' name and ending my prayers in Jesus. And again, I grew up in the church, Christian. And I'm like, okay, God, I'm feeling uncomfortable and I need you to, show me. I need to understand, because the last thing I want to do is to go against your word, but something just isn't adding up for me, you know. And so I continue to read, I continue taking in the knowledge and breaking it all down. And when I got to the end of the year, the end of the Bible, I felt like I had hit a glass ceiling. And so I started over in January 2022. And so I'm still seeking, still looking for answers. And then that's in May. It was in May, where May 14th to be exact, where I had experienced my awakening. And just days before that experience, I was such an emotional person. And it was like I was just, somebody let me out. It was almost like I made it to the top of this matrix. And I'm like, somebody let me out of here, because that's the whole point, is to get out of this wilderness, the matrix, right? And I've done the work and I've evolved to a certain level, and I felt stuck and trapped. And it's literally like somebody let me out of here. And one of the issues that I had growing up is that I did not feel loved. There was a lot of trauma there, but the end result of that trauma is not allowing me to feel that love. And so just days before my awakening or being endowed with the Holy Spirit, I had made a post on Instagram that, says you are worthy of love. And on May 14th, I was in a hotel room down in Miami, Florida. I live in Orlando. And me and my homegirl had been out all day shopping and things like that. And so it's late at night, 10 o'clock at night, we go back to the hotel room. She falls asleep immediately. And so on this journey, this Bible is like a mirror, right, for me. And so I'm learning different things about myself. I've become more aware of self. I had just discovered that I tend to be emotionally detached, because now I have this desire for relationships. I've been a loner my whole life. I didn't even have a real friend until I was 37 years old. Been a loner my whole life. And so I'm like, okay, I really desire relationship and connection with people. And with me having that desire, I'm like, okay, well, then why don't I have that? It all starts with asking the questions, why? Why don't I have that? And so, okay, it's because you tend to be emotionally detached. And so that night in the hotel room, she had fell asleep. I'm on my bed, and I said, okay, I'm emotionally detached. What does that mean? And so I go to pull up a video on YouTube about emotionally detached, because I genuinely want to know, how do I fix this? And as before the video even got to playing good, I kind of zone out. And while I was in that zone, that's where this whole experience happens, and that next day, and I will give you more, but it's going to go in the book. So that next day, after that whole experience, and the experience was a purging process. I'm crying, and all the information that has ever been downloaded into me over the last 40 years of my life had just came up and out of me. And so that next day, when I had woke up, still in tears a little bit, I felt different. I felt like I had physically ascended into another dimension, to another realm. My senses were opened up, amplified. Like I said, I was a brand new slate. All the information that had ever been downloaded into me or programmed into me, right? Because our stories are written for us, right? All that information had came up, and I was a clean slate. I had this crazy thirst for knowledge, like kind of like on the Matrix. That's kind of ideal, gives you a visionary of what the awakening is like. I'm like, plug me in and give me information. The thirst was so real. It was so crazy. And then this sense of knowingness just fell over me. Like, for me, I knew we reincarnate. We come back and we do this thing over and over again until we get it right. We are eternal beings. We come from the stars. We stardust. And it was with knowing that we come from the stars. And that's why I started to study astrology, because why wouldn't I want to know about where I come from? Right. And just a few other things, a few other knowingness that came over me. So now I am a student of esoteric knowledge. I knew that Christianity is not the only way to reach nirvana, which is what the Buddhist culture calls it, right? Like, all of these religions hold some level of truth. And the point is to get you to understand that you are the one. This is your story. So you can either learn that through Christianity, you can learn that through Buddhism, you can learn that through nature even. There's different avenues to learning that. So it was just, again, it was just a lot of knowingness, but just to be that new being. I had stopped eating meat immediately because I could taste like the fear in chicken almost. Like my senses were burst wide open. I used to love the barbecue. I had to stop barbecuing because not only did I stop eating meat, but I could taste the chemicals in the charcoal. It was just like I was just a whole new being, open wide up. And so I had lost a ton of weight, of course, because I stopped eating meat within those 90 days. My skin had this. The Bible talks about transfiguration too. And my skin had, and probably still does a little glow. But those first 3 months, which I was on this high, I was on a high for 3 months straight. And this type of high that I experience is what people go out seeking through. I think it's called ayahuasca and mushrooms and things like that, right? It was like a natural release of DMT basically into me. So that lasted a whole 3 months. And I literally thought I was going crazy. It was a scary experience for me because I didn't have a support system. And I literally thought I was going crazy. There was even one moment, because it's like the super conscious is loud now. And so the super consciousness is, I'm steady like, I'm saying, oh my God, I'm going crazy. And super consciousness says, stop saying that you're not going crazy. And I'm like, okay. I'm answering, myself. Basically, I'm like, oh my God, I'm just going crazy here. So it was a roller coaster. It was the most amazing experience of my life. There was one period within this 3 months where I closed my eyes and either I was in the universe or the universe was inside of me, but I just knew that I am limitless, just like the universe. We from the heavens, you know what I'm saying? So once it just became just that real for me, the God on the inside of me, I had no other choice. And being that my awakening happened through this Holy Bible, I am now called to preach, speak this word. I still believe in the foundation of church. It's just the teachings need to be altered. So I do have a ministry called Divine Mind Ministries that will be manifest, so that we can get back to this community, because we are, as melanated people, we are naturally spiritual beings. Okay. And so I do believe in the foundation of the church. The teachings were just wrong. So I am responsible now to help people understand that this Bible is teaching you about you. There's nothing outside of yourself that is coming to save you. You are your own savior. You know what I'm saying? I got a poem that says, what does it say? We beg, borrow, and plea for the things that should be free, like peace, health, happiness. Dear God, this can't be. So we wait on a savior, but the truth is, it's my responsibility to save her. The narrative is imperative. What story are you telling yourself? One of fear, lack, or doubt? Are you replaying those hurtful memories in your mind? The ones your heart can't seem to push out? So that was just a piece of that poem. But yeah, you are your savior. There's nobody coming to save you. This Bible will give you instructions on how you can save yourself and make it out this wilderness, but you got to do it. You got to do the work.
Love it. I love it. So you read my mind. I was about to ask you next about the writing. Okay, so you beat me to it. You see what I'm saying? You beat me to it. How long have you been writing, and how has your story changed from the old being to the new being in regards to your writing? If there's a gap in between.
I started writing just in January 2021 was the first time that I had ever written and performed poetry. And that too was kind of coming into myself. That was that moment of coming into who you currently see sitting here in front of you today. It was called Who Am I? And it basically just takes you through my journey of hurt and pain, but to let you know, hey, there is something else on this other side. And so when I performed that poem, which is so powerful too, when I performed that, it was like another rebirthing, I guess, to say, like, we're always dying of old self, or at least we should be trying, attempting to die of old self. And so that was a moment that just shed off of old skin on January 21, 2021 was the date that I performed that poem. And I really only have about 5 or 6 under my belt because they all come from a place. It's usually some form of healing whenever I'm writing this literature. So I don't do it a lot. I probably could do it more, but yeah, it's usually coming from a place. But since January 2021.
And what was the response like? You know, one for yourself, and then if there was some memorable moments that you could share in regards to sharing that gift with, with the people who received it.
It was very powerful. Standing ovation, because there was a moment where I even began to cry, while on the stage giving that poem, and it was so deep to I wanted to get up and just run off the stage, but I couldn't do that. I had to sit there and be vulnerable in front of all of those people. But yeah, it moved the whole room. So it was definitely not only healing for myself, but healing for those in the audience who have experienced anger and loneliness. Maybe you stayed in relationship for too long and you got with someone based off of potential. Like, it was a whole story. I took them through my journey essentially. And so it was a lot of people who were able to resonate. I had people telling me thank you, for sharing that with us. I saw and heard myself in your story. It's a story that everybody can relate with because everybody's experienced some level of pain. But yet there's joy on the other side, though. We can't leave that part out.
I love that. So I'm excited, for the book. You said the book is coming, so now you're moving from the spoken word to the written word, and from the written word to the spoken word. Can you share with us a tiny bit about the book? I know you can't share everything, but can you tell us a little something, something?
Well, I'm not even finished, and I still got to get started, if I'm honest with you. But I just know that I have to be careful with revealing too much because the intent to do a book is definitely there. I don't even know what the procrastination is around it, but when the season is right, it'll pour out. But it's going to be just about my story, because that awakening experience in its own was very powerful. But even the 3 years leading up to that day, maybe it was 2 years. There was one year on the 4th of July, as a matter of fact, 2020, where I had a dream that night where I was drowning, and I made a plea with God. I said, if you get me out of the situation, I promise I'll do everything that I ever said I wanted to do. Just please get me out of this. And I was in the car with someone else in the dream. And I tell them, you got to do something. You got to get us out of here. And so they go through their motion and do what they need to do. But all of a sudden, we were saved from drowning. It's like he had made a post on social media and thousands of people had showed up to save us. But it was after that dream that I stayed true to my word. I in 20 I think if that was 2021, that was 2020. So 2021, I traveled somewhere every single month. I don't even know where the money came from now that I'm looking back at it. My salary was only at $40,000 a year, but I still
Close the
traveled
door.
somewhere every single
Close the
month.
door.
I just began to live. I stayed true to my promise, and that really was like a spiritual baptism almost for me.
I love that. I mean, that dream. Oftentimes we have things and places and people. It might have been somebody that was familiar to you, but everything and everyone in your dreams is you, unless you receive some other type of divine intervention, whether it's ancestrally or what. But you look to you, and you reached out to these other aspects of you to be in the position where you were saved, just like you were saying that you have to save yourself. So the water was the catalyst to push you. It wasn't going to hurt you, but there was things that are with you or around you or that surrounded you that couldn't make the shift. You see what I'm saying? They had
Mhm.
to go in the water. Water is synonymous with baptism, but it's also a pluralization. So this is also a catalyst to how you were able to move seamlessly. You just said you ain't know how or where the money came from. That the water had made that way. So you said, look into nature to aid you on your journey and your path. And This is where ideas come from that the birthing waters of the mind, the birthing waters of your spirit. You see what I'm saying? So literally living and walking in purpose all the way down to the water that you jumped into. You see what I'm saying? From the earth.
Mhm.
So from the earth into the water through the air, right? And all of the doubts and the fears dissipating and being released on your way down, which is really on your way up. So you're in this vehicle, right? This vehicle is this body, this vehicle is your mind, and this vehicle is your thoughts. So if all of these things and aspects that are divine, all you simply have to do is make a call and there's a response. So for
Mm.
everything that you're building, down to the books and all of these things that you're doing, all you had to do was make a call. You told me about the dating game, and you said the dating game was all I had to do was reach out and start calling people. That's it. You see what I'm saying? So
That's
this
it.
call has a greater response. So
Mm.
that that power that you're walking in, the power that you're yielding effortlessly and seamlessly, is something to embrace. So I just wanted to applaud, you know, you for standing in it and walking in it. If you remember when God told Sarah she was gonna have a baby, she laughed. She like, "Fam, I'm too old for all that. I don't know what you talking about." You understand what I'm saying? So,
Right.
like, these are things. You're pregnant with an idea. You're pregnant with you know these thoughts, and
Right.
you carried it through to term and you begin to nurture these things in the physical world. Now the
Mm.
world is gleaning from this idea, from these things that you left. You see what I'm saying? So these experiences are priceless. So I want to talk about the dating game that you have coming up, but I want to segue just really quickly for a moment. I saw this fly thing on Instagram. Okay, I seen love looking in the mirror in different places, out walking and talking shit. These 30-day affirmation. You understand what I'm saying? So I have my hand over my heart, going with you through the journey. So I want to know as much as you can share about that journey, some of your takeaways, and also, you know, what was the catalyst or the prompt for you to begin to share with the world on this affirmation journey.
This is year 3 of the affirmation challenge. So I had did it the first 2 years only on Facebook. And the first year, the idea came to me on August 31st. Just do an affirmation challenge. And I was obedient. I went with it. And I had several people involved, also posting their affirmations. And year 2, did it again. By year 2, my life had actually elevated from year 1. And so people were able to see that testament and, have more people joining in as well as other people giving their testimony of, hey, things are beginning to change for me and manifest for me and, things like that. Um, and it was also within that affirmation challenge the first year. Let me back up a little bit real quick before I talk about that part, because there was a period with my homegirl, the same one that had all this faith in me for the dating game. When I was going through my divorce with my ex-husband, I would complain a lot. I'm sick of this. I don't want to do this anymore. I'm tired of this. And I guess it got to a point where she got tired of hearing this every time she came around me. So she was like, look, this is going to be our last year, our last month. I can't remember what she said. We're not going to keep talking about this too much more. She says, you can't continue to talk about the same thing that you're trying to get away from. She says you have to take your eyes off of that situation and begin to speak something else. And she says what you want to start to say is, um, God, let your will be done over my life, whatever that may be. Remove anything from me that is not of you so I can forever be in your presence. And when she gave that to me, it was like a light bulb went off. And I held on to that. And so anytime I had a desire to complain, anytime I, was about to maybe argue with my ex-husband, whatever situation came up, I would stick with that. God, your will be done. So I'm not worrying anymore. I'm not stressing about nothing. Just God, your will be done. Whatever it is, Remove anything from me. That can be anger, fear, addictions, people. Remove anything from me that's not of you so I can forever be in your presence. And within about 3 months, I'd say my life turned upside down because that was me doing the work. My life is, I just elevated another level off of that. And so my life turned up in the upside down in the sense I had been in my apartment for over 4 years. And off of one dispute, my landlord put me out. And I had 6 days to pack and be out. And I was so confused, like, wait a minute, I'm doing the work. I don't understand, like, what's happening here, right? I felt like a complete failure. I thought I was about to have to move back to Illinois with my kids. I just was like, really, like, this just can't be life right now. And sure enough, we elevated. We went from this horrible apartment into a nice, beautiful home with a nice car. So like as you upgrade, you have no other choice but to evolve. All right. But it was also with that tip that she gave me, and I'm realizing how my life is changing. I began to study things like neuro linguistic programming, basically just understanding the true power of my words and how I can, with me thinking about my words first, puts more focus on my thoughts. And now I'm asking myself, okay, well, why do you have these thoughts? Right. So that's kind of how neuro linguistic programming began to work for me. And so that's kind of maybe about how that affirmation challenge came about for me, just understanding the true power of our words and wanting to help other people also understand the power of their words and how it can help you reprogram your mind if you're actually taking the time to think about what you're going to say first. And then, let those question those thoughts. Why am I thinking I'm stupid or dumb? Or why would I say this about myself? So we're doing the affirmation challenge, year one. Year two, then elevated. Fast forward to year three. This year, I had just left a birthday dinner for a friend. And as I'm leaving the birthday dinner, which is about a good 45 minutes away from my house, and I was planning to go to my cousin's house. But instead, the Holy Spirit told me to call up one of the bachelors that was supposed to be in the game. He came to the game, but he didn't get the chance to play. Holy Spirit says, call him. And so, okay, called him up. And Orlando is a big city. And he just so happened was 10 minutes away from where I was. And so I said, oh, he's like, okay, well, come by. And it was also his birthday, like in a few hours, right? So he's like, yeah, come by, let's chop it up or whatever. And so we just there hanging, chopping it up. And that's when he gave me that idea. He was like, that would be material for you. Because I was talking about how I need to be more consistent with posting on social media. I'm trying to build a brand. I need to be more consistent. And he was like, well, you're doing your affirmations. That's content for you right there. And there went that light bulb. I said, okay, because neither one of us could figure like, well, why did you just stop? Why did you call me of all people? Why did you come over here? Not supposed to be going somewhere else. Cuz was waiting on me. But yeah, being obedient to the spirit. And he gave me that idea, and those 30 days, yet again, old version of me shed and elevated to yet another level. So that's where that came from.
I love it. I love that space. I've done a few affirmation challenges. I think I did 100 days or something like that over here. Uh, I, I don't know. I think I did 100 days or so.
Wow.
100 days or more, something like that. It was something like that. But that, and I'm on, many times. So that initial start, like that first day, you get those jitters, you get I don't know if I said that right type of situation. And, after a while, it just flows, it flows just like autopilot, you know, autopilot in that space. But each day it becomes more enriching and
Yeah.
more powerful. And you have that, onus in regards to that space. So I think that, it's something remarkable to have, to be able to provide. So that, the challenge I was, I saw every day that I saw, I was rooting for. You see what I'm saying? Rooting for it. And, I know that there's probably some people that was like, looking to make sure, like, all right, what? Hold on, let me check, let me check and see what's going on. And that's something that's empowering as well. So, from that space, what were some of the lessons that you learned about you, from one challenge to the next or 1 year to the next, some of those experiences that you can share.
Well, as though I wasn't already pretty self-aware, that that just put me up onto yet another level of, being in tune with self. Like I'm always digging into the junk drawer of my soul, because that soul is a memory bank. It houses every single thing that we've ever experienced in our life is resting in our soul. So if you experience something at 7 years old that evoked fear in you, it's not likely that you're going to remember that as a 40-year-old man, but yet it's still affecting you somehow. And so being that I strive to be as Christ-like as possible, or even if we're not talking biblically, well, I guess it's still technically biblically, I know abundance is my birthright, but yet I'm not swimming in money yet. Matter of fact, I'm about to have to start a second job on Monday here, even though my spirit is telling me that's not the right way to go. But I'm not acquiring this abundance that I know is mine, that I know is my birthright. And so I'm digging into this junk drawer that is my soul. And had it not been for these 30 days of self-reflection, I may not have gotten here this fast to say what is going on the inside of me. Why, what blockage is in here? Why can't I elevate to this level? And I actually just had a revelation earlier today about that, that the moon cycles, believe it or not, impacts us. And so we're coming up on the full moon in 3 days. And I looked it up just today, like what is a full moon? And it's a little astrological, a little astrology talk, but the moon, the sun, which everybody knows is their sign. Like if I'm born in June, then you know that I'm a Gemini. That's your sun sign, right? And that's our personality. But the moon is our subconscious. And so on the full moon, that's where the sun is shining on. The sun is shining on the moon. And so for me, it's always during that full moon period where some type of something is coming up and out of me. Something is coming up out of this soul of mine. And so here we are just 3 days before this full moon. And I'm curious to see, what creative thing is going to come out of me after I get this junk up out of me. But I had a revelation earlier today that I'm still holding on to fear. I'm still holding on to lack. That thought of lack and scarcity is still in there. And so, that came to me because as I'm teaching people about relationships, I'm seeing how I move in relationships. And how I move in relationships says there's still fear there. You still wish to control the dynamic. And when there's control there, it's usually indicative of fear. And so that came to me earlier today and I said, okay. So let me then begin to affirm and speak over this and begin to move and think, read up on it, do whatever I need to do to reprogram that junk that is in there.
So we got the dating game coming up in a couple of days also, right? In
Yes.
a couple of days. You excited? What can people expect from this experience that are coming out there from you?
Well, this nostalgia is going to be real for sure. We're taking you all the way back, old school style. So if you're familiar with anything with how the original game show went, it's a lot like that. There will be a lot of crowd participation. So there will be games. They're actually going to have an open panel for about 45 minutes, have an open panel discussion so that we can discuss dating in the community or whatever else is affecting us in the community so the people can expect that. We're going to have a mixer so you'll be forced to talk to other people, be forced to connect with the opposite gender some, I have the last game I had 3 bachelors, but we'll only be going with 2 this time so that we can fit in this open forum discussion, because that's also important that we begin to come from behind this computer screen and let's have some real life conversations. So I'm pretty excited about the open forum, and I would like to see that to turn into something that happens in between these games, because my games are every other month. So the next one will be in December. So ideally, I would like to have an open forum, kind of like what's it called? Tonight's Conversation, I think is what it's called. I want to be able to create something like that, but where we're talking more, serious discussions that will actually lead to healing or bringing our community back together. Like, and that was the purpose of me forming this game, because I see, especially on social media, there is a huge disparity, a discrepancy. I'm not sure which right word, but there's a gap, you know, in the black man loving the black woman, like you say, these gender wars. And I know not everybody thinks like that. I had to let last year's um, affirmation challenge. I ended up letting a friendship go. Like I said, I didn't have any real friends until I was 37, and this girl was the first friend that I ever had. But she had this belief that all men ain't shit, they all liars, ain't none of them no good. And no matter how many times I would tell her, like, hey, I don't believe like that, you know, our words are powerful, I don't speak like that. And she would just continue with that rhetoric and that language. And so I had to let that friendship go. And it was hard for me to do. It was very painful, but it wasn't personal, it was spiritual, because just imagine, had I remained in that relationship, I wouldn't be here where I am today as a fisher of men, right? If I believed inherently that all men ain't good, then I would not be here seeking good men right now. So I had to let that friendship go, unfortunately. But yeah, I'm here to bridge that gap, to help bring the people together and help bring Black love back.
So how do you work with, like, so say for instance that friend was like a client of yours, and through this indoctrination, it's not haphazardly that this negative self-talk comes, comes from a place of trauma, it comes from a place of hurt, but it also comes from a place of training. You're inundated with these things. This social media experiment is an experiment. It's an experiment that invades the psyche. So it bombards you. And if it adds to what you inherited ancestrally, we was talking about, Chiron, if you look at all of those men and women in your lineage that you descend from, your ancestral lineage, and then your spiritual lineage, and then your emotional lineage. All of these things have a lineage. Everything in your being is part of a family system that exists in the whole of you, in totality. So if you look at all of these influences, your thoughts and your words dictate how these other things operate. So if every cell in your body is hearing you say, I'm afraid, they're all responding, because this is what the master is saying. That part in the Bible where Jesus said, go get this donkey. He said, what should I tell him? That the master is in need of it. You see what I'm saying? So that mastermind is programming the body and the being. The entire being is subservient to the will of the master, right? So how do you, navigate through a space like that with, okay, somebody that might have been your friend, or being the fisher of men, you see what I'm saying, in that Christ space? How do you, help to guide someone away from that mindset or that negative self-talk?
Well, it's important that people be open and coachable, because everybody is not going to make it out of the wilderness. Everybody is not meant to make it out of the wilderness. So I understand that my message is not for everybody. And it took me a minute to get there. If I could just give the world a hug and help save everybody, I would absolutely do that. But everybody, unfortunately, is not going to make it out. But those who do have a desire to say, I want to be better, then those are the people who I have a chance with getting into, because that is primarily above all things. I am a transformational speaker. Like right here on my vision board, which you can't see, the very first thing up there, it says, get on stages around the globe and teach, speak Christ consciousness, which is love consciousness, right? That is my ultimate goal above all. And so I know that that message is not going to be for everybody. But for those who do want salvation, you tired of swimming in the mud and you ready to be, stand up, and walk in your divinity, then I got a word for you. But it ain't for everybody, and that's okay.
I love that Christ consciousness. Uh, that's a beautiful space. That's a beautiful space to be in.
Hmm.
Arriving in that space of Christ consciousness and moving in that space of Christ consciousness, how that divine God being works from your mind and your thoughts, and this actualization of how you see yourself. Who do you say I am? Who do they say I am? You see what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
all of those differentiations are powerful. So I'm thankful that you exist and you're doing the work that you're doing on behalf of our people. There's so many things that have been exacerbated and coming against us, by design, because the world benefits off of us being in this state of servitude, in this state of slumber, you know,
Hmm.
in this state of suffering and silence and traumatic and fratricidal, where we're at war with self. So we're in slumber, we're in servitude, and we're fratricidal and very volatile with our thoughts and our ideas, what leads to this physical and emotional space that we're in. So when we see each other, it's a constant reminder of all of these other things. When we're in an oppressed state of mind, it reflects in our oppressed state of being. So you looking at me and me looking at you is a reminder of that scarcity and that lack and that fear. These are all things that are alive and they all require some agreement.
Hmm.
Their fear requires a space to occupy you. You know, I heard like fear is not real, but fear is a force that is an enemy to you. Starvation is a force that is an enemy to you. So when we looked at our ancient cultures, these are forces that feed on you. So either you're feeding them or they're feeding on you.
That's right.
So everything is alive and everything is eating. So you heard the term "what's eating you," right?
Hmm.
So they're like, oh, okay, what's wrong with you? But they're not saying what's feeding on you or what are you feeding, you
Hmm.
know? So there's a beautiful thing in regards to that because everything eats. Love is being starved out of the people.
Yeah,
You see what I'm saying?
it
So
is.
love is going to go where it's being fed, you know, and love is not going to be absent. It's going to be absent in the place where it's ignored. So you're being a beacon of light in a space that appears to be dark,
Yeah,
but this illumination is there. And we need both to be able to comprehend. So that shining that light, like you were talking about, that full moon, is there with enough illumination to be able to recognize these aspects that might have been hidden in the dark.
that's
Uh,
right.
the elder women always used to tell me, "What's done in the dark will come to the light." So and every time they said that, whatever I had hidden, it came to the light. You see what I'm
That's
saying?
right.
So immediately, that the divine invocation of the power of the mind, the power of the spoken word, the power of the written word, the power of the thing that is unseen until it is seen and heard everywhere. So I'm excited for you. I saw a video where you shared some of the live responses from some of the people in the
Hmm.
game. Was there anything else you wanted to say about this event, this necessity? What if people can't make it? Is it somewhere for them to look at it virtually? How could we get that out? In the world, how can we assist you in the space of spreading the word?
Absolutely. So real connections are being made. The video that you're referring to was 8 weeks post game, and the couples were very excited, to still be going and um, to have found each other in a sense on this journey to love. So we're going to keep it going for sure. The videos will be uploaded on YouTube. My YouTube page is Journey with Love, and I think you got to put a period behind that. And I'm waiting for my team to come along and help me with all the audio type of stuff because, yeah, I had my cell phone that I was recording off of, but work with what I got until it gets better. But I will record off my cell phone and upload it on YouTube. People are suggesting that I take it online, maybe, do some speed. dating type of events virtually on Zoom. And maybe eventually we will get there. But my whole purpose is to come from behind the screen. The screen is a bit of a problem to me. That's where some of this poison is being fed at. So, but I know I have to evolve though. Our plans are going to always look like how we think they're going to look. So that's another thing that I keep at the forefront of my mind. I may see a vision, but or I may have a plan, but God got the vision, and I'm just supposed to be obedient and follow the steps. So if it does lead to online, very good. But as of right now, you can catch a game live in Orlando, Florida. The next one is Saturday, October the 14th. We will be having an open panel discussion. So if you are local, come on through. Tickets are on sale on Eventbrite currently. But of course, I'll be putting out highlights and things like that on my Facebook and Instagram page.
Yeah, we want some after actions, okay? If I can help in
Absolutely.
any kind of way, if you want, some of the couples you got together, you understand what I'm saying? If you want another space to for them to have their after action, or some people in the crowd that loved it, we could put something together. I want to support you in any way that I can to,
Absolutely. That would
keep,
be great.
keep Black love alive and get away from some of the poison that we got out here. You see what I'm saying? Like this station exists in inverse to the poison. Like every place in the virtual space ain't poison. 9 times out of 10 it is, but at least 1 out of 10 that ain't. That's not not toxic. That's not you know uh, anti-black love with black face. You
So
see
just
what I'm
one out of
saying?
10, huh?
1 out of 10. It
Wow.
might be 1 out of 10,000 now, because
Yikes.
there's there's a budget for our destruction in the
That's what
virtual
sells,
space.
right?
In individual space. Well, what sells is what we support. You see what I'm saying? What sells is what we support. So they say that that's what sells, but we say what truly sells because we don't
Hmm.
have to buy it. We don't have to buy it. We don't have to support it. So the more stations that are created, inverse to what it is, then they'll be looking to put money and support behind these things that are righteous, these things that are positive. So, you know,
With you mentioning that word support, I'm at that phase now where the people that I thought would be there to support me or you don't see them anywhere. They ain't coming around. There's no likes even on social media. It's like, dang, in the past, I've been to all these events to support you. And now here I am. And I know you see it. I know you see it. You don't even give me a like to say I support. And so it's kind of discouraging. But then again, that word also lets you know that it's your family, be your family, your family, your friends, they're not going to be the ones to show up to support you. It'd be the strangers for the most part that's going to come through. So it's a little discouraging, but standing on that word and knowing it is what it is also helpful though.
put
So
your
thank you for
arms
your
around
support.
those that do show up. Go
Yes,
whoever they are. Personalize them, thank them, have something for them, have them share. You see what I'm saying? So for those who missed it, those who missed it, we all in different seasons of our existence. Some people have to be reminded and brought back. They were like, "Oh, yo," people will like when it's popping, because it is popping. You see what I'm saying? People will come back and they engage. You see what I'm saying? So, you know, loving on those who actually do support, those who are actually there, and
absolutely.
pulling them in, pulling people for their talents and their gifts. Your camera crew could be
Yes.
sitting in the crowd clapping for somebody, and you don't know. So
Yeah.
in that networking space, if you can carve out a space to have people say what they do, that's another thing. You don't know who you're sitting next to. You see what I'm
That
saying?
is so good.
And from one space to another, so having an opportunity for people to do their elevator pitch or whatever it is in that mix, you engage them in a way that's personable and memorable to them. You see what I'm saying? So they might come in support for something else and not expect that. So if you have an opportunity to do that, you never know who's who, what's what. Your skills, your talents, your hobbies, whatever it is. And when you're pulling through that, you can have everything that you need literally right there. You know,
Right.
So,
That is so good. Absolutely. Thank you for that.
I got it from you. I heard you say it. I just said it out loud.
Oh, okay.
So final thoughts, ideas. If you had a one message to your younger self and your future self, what would it be, and how people can find you and collaborate with you?
The message to my younger self, and this was actually the night of my awakening, and I remind myself of this very often, is that not only am I worthy of love, but that I am forgiven for every stupid decision that I ever made because I didn't feel loved. And so that's what I want everybody to know. Forgive yourself. You know, somebody else wrote your program. That's why you acted the way that you did. That's why that you think the way that you do. It is your responsibility to examine those beliefs. Ask yourself, why do I believe this? Is it even true? And once you find out that it is a lie, it's your responsibility to begin to reprogram those thoughts. But yeah, begin by forgiving yourself for stupid decisions that you made because of somebody else writing your story for you. To my future self, girl, keep doing your thing. Keep healing so you can help the people heal. Because that's the whole purpose. Heal thyself so you can help others heal.
All right. Thank you for your time, for your energy. I want to know how this goes. Okay. I'm invested. I need to know some after stuff. You know, after Saturday, after the 14th. You know what I'm saying? I would love to have you come back on and give us some after action. Catch us up. You know, for those
Absolutely.
living vicariously, we like. You know what's up? You know we ain't in Orlando. You know what I'm saying? We want to know what's happening. We want to know what's going on. So yeah, definitely. So
The
just let me
people are
know.
vested now. Got you. I got you.
Right. Right. You know, it's like a good show or a good book. We like, what happened? Hold on, wait. We gotta wait until what's going on. So yeah, definitely. Thank you again. You know, for your time,
Absolutely.
and looking
Thank you for
forward to having you
yours.
back on. Ladies and gentlemen, give it up for love. Love is in the building. Okay, love is in the building. Okay. So we out of here, y'all. Peace.
Yeah, yo, life's a solar roller coaster. Time will make you hold me closer. Hold the torch, show support. My hands have struck your shoulders to dismantle all your boulders. Heavy is the crown she wore, the stars within her dress, the nest with heaven in her gown. Well, I'm the poet that guided souls, but legacies around. My centerpiece extend, my reach is destiny abounds. Don't be fooled by those who move in squares. Beauty's in the air. Spiritual is spherical, a miracle so rare. I got lyrics in my head. My locks contain the prophet's names. This is where my compass aim. Vision of my conscious claims, paradise within. On the path that I begin. From the navel, stomach cable, love is able. Summon angels, cut the labels that's been placed on you. Cattle brands and fashion lamps, secretly they claiming you. Stay your light, feel the right. Wield the mic and feel the might. The power that will change it all. Rest assured the checkerboard beneath you in the Mason's hall. Knowledge is a real delight. All that I reveal is bright. This is what life is really like. With fate before is the mind control. With haters, thoughts and time unfolds. Warriors in they software. Thoughts of when we all cared. Listen, these are timeless goals. Wisdom of this Mayan scroll. Twisted like a Morse head. Living as a more, yeah. Love and death above the flesh. Visions of me something fresh. Counseling the lost and found. Characters of lost surrounds. Doctrine of discovery. Still couldn't put their crosses down. Call us black with coffee brown. Cinnamon and nutmeg. Copper and mahogany. Salt and pepper thinkers. Now we peanut butter olive. See us in the almond tree. See the planet consciously. Drop us in the colony. Akashic soul robbery. Please advance your pottery. Living sculpture, spirit culture. Hear the vulture circling. Let them wait, won't hesitate to leave you as I meditate. Astral travel past the battle. Evil literal didn't resonate, cause man is an eternal blend of infinite and temporal, intimate and special you, kissed by the electric glue that binds me and connected you so highly they respect my view. I'm trying to confess to you, a lion in the flesh with you, a lion in the flesh is true, son of man Leo, understand Neo, what a grand ego, geographic beat the traffic, ether magic reach the attic, climbing deaconate strands, y'all will smite the wicked yet he guides me with the same hands, pituitary pin to you, got us in the same glands, run DMT, walk this way, I take you to where fate lands, semen of a brave man, see it with your Ray-Bans, secret of a Space Jam, life's a motion picture, the ecliptic is the frame stand, earth is like a flat screen, pixel people cells themselves printed on a map screen, the tales of where we dream is now imprisoned in a vast dream. It's resurrection time, the gods are here again, I read the heaven signs, we gotta heal to win, don't you feel the change, don't you hear the wind, just blow your breath in mine, and let the spirit in, resurrection time, the gods are here again, I read the heaven signs, we gotta heal the wind, don't you feel the change, don't you hear the wind, just blow your breath in mine, and let the spirit in.
Hey, Sunshine Monet with the affirmations to enjoy your day with Sunshine Monet. You are listening to Chakra Music. I came through with intentions of destruction. You said you wanted freedom, well it's me then that you wanted. I moved in gratitude as my soul was being summoned. The consciousness has returned, Christ is really coming. I make these flows for the souls that drift in indigo. I make some goals for they glow since they was embryos. Access the records, they lectures, keep your principles. Enemies infect you, don't let them reach your pinnacles. Reversing curses that's embedded in religions. They wound up in your soul, that's why you feel tension. I'm remixing declensions before Sumerians existed. It's something in the water, don't get caught, you'll get acidic. I bury enemies, pay pinnacles to the witness. You say my name in threes, I appear in your vision. Write Iliads in me, I'm the witcher in your system. Silly as can be, there's no opposite in infinite. I'm the goddess of crossroads, touching all directions. With the skull and crossbones that call to the vexes. I applaud the protectors, I'm the god of inflection. They see the demon in me and still pause the respecters. I need no translation, vibrating from universe. My throat mansplaining while my yoni do the work. Mask off, crowns on, bombshell on all the arts. Mask off, crowns on, bombshell on all the arcs. Mask off, crowns on, bombshell on all the arcs. Mask off, crowns on, bombshell on all the arcs.
Enoch 7 prophet, move like the full winds do. My energy is useful, my thoughts are old school. So I move with a Bob Slim. Say I'm sexy, haircut like Anita Baker, real lovely. Caught up in the rapture, it's kinda risque. Kisses and faces on public is real frisky. Touche.
You are listening to Chakra Music.
Mask off.